Conference USA Media Day continues from Frisco, Texas. Now we look at Louisiana Tech. And joining us, the head women's basketball coach, Brooke Stork. Brooke, good to see you again.
Thanks, Ron.
And the men's coach, Eric Uncle. Eric, I'd reach over, but it's too far of a reach there on your part. First of all, Brooke, I'm going to start with you. 4 starters are back this season. How excited are you to have this season get going?
Well, I think it's always an exciting time of year. We all like our teams in late October, early November, and what the promise of what a season can hold. And we are excited about the experience we do have returning, especially on the perimeter. We lost a lot with the loss to graduation of Alexis Malone, leading scorer and leading rebounder. But it also presents an opportunity for other players to step up that have kind of been waiting in those wings. And so I think the experience on our perimeter is going to be something that we're really excited about.
Here's something to think about, too. Last year, you lost 4 starters that went down with injury, and you talk about stepping up. You had to have a lot of players last year step up. Now they've got a little more experience than probably what you thought they would have.
Yeah, I think anytime you lose someone, whether it be to graduation or an injury, it presents an opportunity, and you can look at it from a negative standpoint, or you can look at it from a positive standpoint. And, we always choose to take the positive route with that and see what opportunity can present itself and then who steps up in that opportunity.
You have to make a jump physically, I think. Is that fair?
I think so. I think that we've got to collectively find a way to account for, losing your leading rebounder at almost 10 a game, and that's going to be by committee. I don't know if it's going to be any one person or any one player, but I think we've got to do that from a perimeter standpoint. We've got to add a couple more rebounds per player, and then also from that group of interior players to account for those loss of rebounds from Alexis Malone.
I want to correct myself. You didn't lose 4 players to injury.
That
was him.
That was him.
That was him. As many games as I had of you last year, I should know that, but I want to correct myself. That's my first mistake today and my last one, okay? But you entered this season 3-point guards on the roster. Is this the first time you've had 3-point guards?
I like our depth. I think they all bring something different to the table, and I think we're going to need a different punch from each of them. And I think we can play all 3 of them, a couple of them at the same time, and then we're going to. We had one go down last year, and you always want to have that depth and that security of knowing you've got people there to go. And what we're doing offensively, we're in the previous 2 years we've had to play a slower tempo, and we were really predominantly post-oriented, and I think we've got the ability and the depth now to play a little faster and to get out and transition and play the way we would really like to play in space. And I think our depth at the guard position really allows us to do that.
One of the changes the NCAA made is now you can be part of practices in the summer. You had a lot of time with your team. In one of the articles I read, it said how they got together as a group, and it really helped. Talk about that new rule and the fact they can spend a lot more time together.
Well, in previous years, before probably 10 years ago when we didn't have this, that the time that they showed up on campus in the fall was the earliest that they could be together. And so for us to build that camaraderie and build that chemistry, a lot of times that happens off the court, whether it's, they're going to the pool to get in extra conditioning, or they're, hanging out playing cards, or going to movies, or going out to eat. They're doing things purposefully, and I give our seniors a lot of credit for that. I think Kiera Anthony, Taylor Staley, Rihanna Cleaver, Zanae Whitney did a really good job this summer of kind of galvanizing that group and allowing them to spend that time together.
Talk about players that are probably going to make an impact this season.
Well, I think it starts with Kiera Anthony, and her leadership has taken on a different role for her, being more vocal and being able to not only allow her play to prove that on the court, but being able to kind of take some younger players under her wing and say, hey, this is how we do things here. This is how we compete at this level. And she's done a really good job of that in the preseason, in our summer workouts, and ready for her to have a great senior season. Taylor Staley has been just solid for us. Every day that she shows up, she goes to work, and she's in there early in the morning getting up shots before class. She's in there late at night, and she's very solid and consistent. So I think those two will be a really, really big plus for us this season. And
79% of her shots are threes, so we know she can shoot.
She can shoot. That helps with that spacing quite a bit.
Yes, it does. The question I've asked all the women's coaches, Conference USA, does this conference get the respect they deserve, considering you have what Randy did, Western at UAB, Western Kentucky, Middle, list Rice, list goes on.
I just think that, you look across the country, there are a lot of really good conferences and a lot of really good teams. But I think, top to bottom, night in and night out, you have to show up to compete and prepare because coaches have their teams prepared. They compete really well. And you've got to be ready for a lot of different schemes. I mean, when you look across the league, we see all kinds of styles of play, and you've got to be prepared for that. And I don't think we get the respect that we deserve, but I think we also, prove that through the non-conference and our scheduling and some of those things. And I think our league is really taking a step in the right direction in those terms.
Absolutely, and you had a good scrimmage against TCU. You learned a lot this past weekend.
Yeah, I think any time that you can put yourself in those situations of being able to see yourself against a different opponent at this point in the season, they get tired of practicing against each other and your scout guys. And so for us, it's a great teaching moment to watch film, and we'll be able to go back this week and watch film from our scrimmage and see where we need to improve. All those things that we've been harping on in practice and saying, hey, this is going to be exposed. Well, those things get exposed when you play other people. And so it's a great moment for us to teach and learn and grow as a group.
All right, we're going to turn our attention to Eric. Eric, now I'll get this right. You lost 4 different players went down with injuries, and I had a bunch of your games last year. What got me is 4 freshmen were in the top 8 rotation last season. A lot of coaches go, that's not a good thing. But some of those freshmen really stepped up and got a lot of experience leading into this season.
Well, I think there's no question. Anytime you have that many young people play early in their career at the same time, it can give you some short-term growing pains, but we're hopeful that it can give us great experience and depth now moving forward into year 2 with them. They're all competing. They're all challenging for major roles on the team. They've all gotten stronger, and it's really helped us build our team with a lot of guys that experienced a lot of game moments last year.
You went to Costa Rica, and you get to play games, but I think what's more important for the coaches, you get those 10 extra practices. What did that mean to this team?
It was huge for us. We have some newcomers. We have guys that did experience a lot of time in games last year as freshmen, but we wanted to be able to turn the page pretty quickly and have those practices this summer in preparation to play some teams in August. We played 2 games in Costa Rica, but just having that time to gel both on and off the court was huge for us.
Now, last year, I know you wanted to run the ball hawking type defense. Did injuries and inexperience force you to kind of pull back on that a little bit?
It did. We weren't nearly as deep, especially in the guard positions, and we were very young. So we tried to really simplify our defense and focus on certain things and just try to get as good as we possibly could at those things. So we didn't expand. We certainly didn't get in the full court as much as we would like to. But it's one thing that we'd like to expand upon this year for us to have the type of team we want to be is to be a great defensive team that puts a lot of pressure and attacks the opponent.
Well, there were a lot of young players that just blew me away last year, and one of them was Amore Archibald. I thought this young man came in, he looked a little wide-eyed the first game, but as the season progressed, he seemed as though the game was not too fast for him.
He's really impressive. He's an impressive kid. He's grown so much, and he's gained 10 pounds of muscle this summer. He's really maturing. He can play in different guard spots, with the ball in his hands, without the ball in his hands. He scored the ball extremely well in Costa Rica. We expect him to have a big role on this team.
And he was even supposed to redshirt last year. I mean, I thought beginning of the season he wasn't even going to play.
We had a lot of depth early in the season, and it's really a great story about team and tenacity when it comes to Amore Archibald. I had kind of told him that, hey, you're a little bit behind right now. He was also a football player in high school,
right.
So this last year was his first year playing basketball full time, and I said, hey, if redshirting is something you want to do, talk to your parents and let me know. And he just came back and said, Coach, I've always kind of been the runt of the litter and figured my way out, and I just want to do everything I can to help the team. And he ends up starting a number of games and playing a big role for us as a freshman.
Anthony DeRuggi is another name that steps up to me because I remember 21 versus UAB, had a great stretch in February. Did he have a big jump this summer?
He has. First physically, he came to Louisiana Tech 6'7", 190 pounds. He's now up to 215 pounds, and he's become even more athletic. He's expanded his range. He's benefited as much as anybody from playing all those minutes last year, having the time in Costa Rica, and just continuing to learn this game. And we certainly have high expectations for him.
I'm getting this to hurry up, but I gotta get one more question. And sorry, guys. How important is it this year to forget about what happened last year and really come out strong from day one of the season for you?
I think for us, we're always looking to improve on every experience, both positive and negative. We want to be able to learn from last year, that experience that we had. But in any game, in any season, you want to start off strong. You want to start off playing very, very well and putting yourself in a position to have a great season. And we're excited about this group.
One of the best bands, by the way, at any basketball game is Louisiana Tech. Hysterical guys. Thank you, coaches. We look forward to seeing you this season. When we come back, we'll talk Marshall basketball, a shocker in the NCAA for them when we come back.